Okay, is the Thrustmaster T598 worth it for Gran Turismo 7? This is Thrustmaster's $450 kind of mid-range direct drive force feedback wheel, rim and pedals. I'm going to let you know I've been using this combination for about 6 months now on and off, and there are some good things and there are some bad things that you need to be aware of. So firstly, as you can see, this is the bundled T598 package. However, worth mentioning, you can use the add-ons like the hypercar wheel. Also, I have here the SF1000 as well, the Formula wheel. So that it is an ecosystem. You do get access to Thrustmaster ecosystem, but I'm going to concentrate mainly on the bundled rim here because there's actually some cons with this wheel I think you should be aware of. So my main concern when I first used this wheel about 6 months ago, and then when I first got a review in it for Thrustmaster and I used it on ACC PC, I was really concerned about the force feedback kind of intensity, the peak hold of the force feedback, how much you felt the force feedback going through corners, particularly long, fast corners where you want to kind of feel like you're in a grip zone. I was really worried about not feeling that. The detail felt good, the responsiveness felt good, but I was super worried about just, is it strong enough, essentially? And I made videos to that effect. I'm very happy to report that in Gran Turismo, in my opinion, having used an 11 Nm Logitech G Pro for the last 2 years, for all my Gran Turismo basically, I don't think you need to worry about the strength of the T598. I don't think you're going to be too worried that 5 Nm is too slow. It's too weak, basically. I'll show you exactly here. You can see there's a lot of force going through the wheel if you do stupid stuff where you're loading it up. It's a very, 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 very responsive wheel, actually. It feels like one of the most responsive wheels I've used because I've done a lot of deliberate crashing, say on my Moza R16 and the G Pro. This feels actually possibly more responsive in that way than the G Pro. The G Pro is a very steady, very kind of reliable force feedback. This one can snap at you and it can do things extraordinarily quickly. It's absolutely crazy. So no, you don't need to worry about the force feedback on Gran Turismo 7. I'm making this video now because it's just been officially supported. So now you can map the wheel in-game and there should be all the stuff working on the back end. I've got a separate video on my settings of the T598. I go all really nerdy. But basically, the actual top level force feedback, don't need to worry. This is a really good amount of feeling for me. I run my Logitech G Pro, which is 11 Newton meters. I run it at 8 Newton meters normally. This is 5, but also it has an overshoot. And I feel like I can kind of feel that. It does have some gimmicks as well, like the gear jolt, which I'm not using right now because it shakes the camera actually. So interpret that how you will. But when it's on, it is a really satisfying feature that does work well. And that was a feature that I noticed the first time I used this wheel. I was like, oh, that's actually quite nice. So that's good. Now, when it comes to the little details in the force feedback, and we are going to get onto the wheels and the pedals and the rim, there's not as much detail as, say, the Logitech. Like, on the Logitech, I would really feel going from grass to white line, to curb, to kind of Astro, and then tarmac, and then curb. You'd feel all those differences with different frequencies of the force feedback. You just don't really feel it in the Thrustmaster. Sometimes you can get a quite nice high-pitched or high-frequency vibration, especially sometimes with the tyre sliding. That is really helpful to work out how you should approach the corner in terms of maybe easing off a little bit to get more into a grip window. But it's not as frequent as the Logitech that you experienced at. So they do have something called Harmony, but I don't think they market it a crazy amount. It's better than, it's possibly better than Moza, although Moza have also just on PC updated their frequency to like 360 Hz. So these things are always changing all the time. Fanatec is meant to bring out full force or fat force, but it's been forever on that one. I have no idea why. They're the official wheel provider of Gran Turismo and they don't have their full force in the game. It's just a madness. Whereas Thrustmaster are no longer the official wheel of Gran Turismo, but this feels like the people's choice Gran Turismo wheel. Okay, so let's get into some of the negatives. The bundled rim, which hopefully you can see on the camera facing it, I think stylistically is really nice. I like the style of it. I recognise the cues from my T150 that I started out with on Gran Turismo, but it is very rubbery. It's super, super, super rubbery. It feels rubbery, like it's meant to have drinks spilled on it or it's meant to get beaten up, and I can already see marks on my one where I've been using it with the thumbs and there's a bit of discoloration. Now my T150 also got a lot of discoloration because when you're using it day after day, especially something in the heat, the rubber can start to kind of like come off in little like particles and things like that. So it doesn't have that super, super, super premium feel to it. It has a kind of durability feel, but not even a durability feel in a premium sense. It has a durability feel in that like a family car is not going to have super nice leather seats because it's just more durable having fabric seats that you can kind of wipe down. So that's how I would describe it here. That said, the quick release, I'm perfectly happy with. I was really concerned about the quick release. I've been using this quick release for quite a while on my T818. By the way, this is a review unit from Thrustmaster. Be a bit weird if it was a review unit from Logitech G. That would be really interesting. Has there ever been a brand that sent a review unit of something else? There's a Thrustmaster review unit, and I probably shouldn't do this. In fact, definitely don't do this at home. But I'm going to uncollar it here as I go. And you can see the quick release. And I'm going to collar it back on. And now we're going straight away. So it is super, super, super quick. On this 5 Newton meter wheel, I don't feel like I'm hitting the limits of it. It's not as satisfying as the Moser one, the NRG style. It's not as satisfying as the Logitech G1, but it does the job. The wheelbase is super big. I still think that's a negative. I don't think it's a positive having a massively big wheelbase. It kind of might even make it harder to justify as a purchase sometimes. However, in this Fanatec cockpit, so I'm in the Fanatec Club Sport cockpit, it actually sits really nicely because the middle of the base is sort of like in the middle of where the Fanatec arms come out. So it feels like a fairing. And I would also say that even though the base is big, it still fits within the circumference of the default rim, which makes it maybe look sleeker than it is when you're looking at it. But when it's on the table, you're like, oh my God, this thing is massive. And it's very like short. It's really wide and tall, but it doesn't have a lot of depth. So it looks like a little bit odd. Like they could have even just made it more depthier just for the sake of it. So that's going to be a con for some people as well. The biggest con though that you should be aware of, and we're going to talk about other rims, you really should be aware about the pedals. Like it would not be honest or fair to say that these pedals are to the level of Fanatec load cell pedals or the Logitech G Pro pedals. It's just not the case. These are not load cell pedals. They're potentiometer pedals. It's on a new platform by Thrustmaster. If and when they release the T598 Plus variant for like $550 that also has a load cell, that is a really strong product for Thrustmaster because that counters the criticism I'm making now, which is you may regret buying this bundle for the pedals. I don't think you're going to regret buying it for the rim because ultimately you can pick up a really nice rim and upgrade it. And sometimes it's actually nice, not even sometimes, it's pretty much always nice to start on the bundled rim and then upgrade it later on and appreciate the upgrade, appreciate how it's better in different ways. Also the wheelbase, like I said, that my major concern about it not being strong enough, I don't think is valid in Gran Turismo 7. I think this is going to be absolutely fine. And you're going to see more YouTubers and streamers using it and people in the community sharing their experiences, and that's going to make you more comfortable. But it is the damn pedals. And I do have Thrustmaster TLCM pedals which have a load cell, and they are better than these. And the TLCM is quite an old platform now. I think it's probably about 5 years old, that platform. I remember when they came out, I was like, oh, one day I'm going to update my T150 pedals TLCMs. When my T150 pedals broke, I couldn't afford TLCMs, so I got T3PA Pro pedals, which were on some mad discount with a load cell mod. It was like a brake mod rubber cone thing, and I used it on iRacing, and they were metallic pedals, and I've absolutely loved it. I'm going on a tangent here, but these pedals are not fantastic. They are very basic in a good way. Like they'd be really easy to clean and maintain. They're not enclosed like the Logitech G29 pedals. and it is a bit unfair to compare them, say, to G Pro pedals and not G29, when the Logitech G29 is like $250 and the G Pro is like $1,000 as the bundle. The T598 sits a little bit closer to G923. Like, I think these are better pedals than G923 pedals, and they do have really good carpet grips as well. When I used them for the first time about 6 months ago, they were on carpet. So just be aware of the pedals. Now here's the really cool thing. Now I'm going to do it properly this time, as we're inevitably going to crash here. So you can start on this bundle and you can set yourself a target or something to look forward to and say, you know what, in 4 or 5 months time, I'm going to get a Formula One rim. And you can put the Thrustmaster rim on here, connect it. You can put the screen on as well. Now I can't remember what I've mapped here on the buttons. I think, is it this one? Okay, there we go. And now I'm racing on the Ferrari SF1000, and you can see the screen works. And this is a $350 rim, which, okay, so if you're talking about a Thrustmaster T598, I probably wouldn't do this at the outset. And by the way, even though this is the review unit, I went out and bought a Thrustmaster rim for, I think I paid $270 for it, because I really wanted to have a different type of rim for my wheelbase here. And it's kind of, these add-ons are, when you're in the ecosystem, you know what it's like. I've been in the Fanatec ecosystem buying all sorts of rims. I'm in the Logitech ecosystem and I've just got an Acidith rim. And now in the Thrustmaster ecosystem, you kind of want to have these rims. So this is a very tantalizing choice. And actually, oh my God, there's so much you can do here. I've got engine RPM. I've got some impressive dashes here. I've even got the time and the date and multiple pages. So this is, for $350, you can have a very good Formula experience. So the T5, this is a very honest review, like always on this channel, by the way. It's also a little bit of me rambling. So if you've found this video helpful so far, put an old man emoji in the comments so I know. I would not hesitate to recommend the Thrustmaster T598 in Gran Turismo 7 if your budget is $450. If your budget is $400, I would say wait and try and see if you can get a deal. Or I have an affiliate code for this, by the way, in the comments, Kireth, but I don't think it gives you a discount. It's just an affiliate code. But if there is a discount, it might bring it down. You can buy it on retailers as well. Like you can buy on Amazon, which is absolutely fantastic, because if it goes wrong, you just send it back to Amazon. It does get warm, by the way. That's another con of this base. It does get warm. Like my Moser bases don't get warm at all. Like the Moser R3, just when I've been using it, doesn't get warm in my experience. The same with the Logitech G Pro, doesn't get warm. This one does get warm, so that is surprising. Maybe it's the way it works. It does also hum and vibrate as well. But yeah, if your budget is $800, then you're getting some more interesting stuff with Fanatec. Then you're potentially getting into G Pro range. Is this better than the G Pro? No, it's not better than the G Pro. The G Pro is better than this because it has more power, that you can dial it down, you can dial it up. It also has a rim ecosystem. On PC, you can now use any rim on it, although you're more limited on PlayStation. You're definitely more limited than you are with Thrustmaster. You can't run a wheel like this on Gran Turismo 7 on a Logitech G Pro, whereas on Fanatec you can run the Red Bull rim, the F1 rim, and Thrustmaster you can run this rim, but you can't on Logitech. So it's an interesting point. But I did do 2 years on Logitech with just the default rim, and then you can even do stuff like this. I mean, what an incredible rim this is. I don't prefer it for performance over the SF1000. I think this is more a real show-off rim. Like this rim is just, oh, let me show you it in action. There's something very luxurious about this Thrustmaster Hypercar rim that you can also use on the T598. And with that really wide diameter, it has a very interesting feel where you have a lot of travel in the corners to find a sweet spot. So you can really, in long corners like at the Red Bull Ring, you can really kind of go into the corners and adjust. So yeah, the Thrustmaster ecosystem, I would say, looks strong. I mean, dare I say the Thrustmaster ecosystem actually rivals the Fanatec ecosystem, because the Fanatec ecosystem has stuff like the BMW M4 wheel, the Bentley wheel, You know, how many people can afford the BMW M4 wheel or the Bentley wheel? Not me. But how many people can afford a 350 hypercar wheel? That's a lot more achievable. So I say at this budget, the Thrustmaster ecosystem of rims is arguably more competitive than Fanatec, and that's me sat in the Fanatec rig. Review coming on that separately. So as you can see in these videos, when I just want to race and race and race, I'm having so much fun, and I kind of need to stop myself. So the pedals are definitely the weak spot. If I was on a load cell right now, I would be probably more gushing over this. I'd be like, this is a really important moment. For $450, you can now on PlayStation have an experience that would have cost you thousands like years ago. Like, I'm not even joking. I remember on the Fanatec CSL Elite, that was kind of like a really big deal, kind of like mid-range-esque, I guess, but PlayStation compatible. Like, this experience here is so much better than my Fanatec CSL Elite. My Fanatec CSL Elite, when I was going through the corners, I would feel the belt, you'd kind of feel it, and then it would give a little bit, and I got used to it, but this is just so smooth in comparison. But I don't want to knock on Fanatec too much, because they also have very competitive, the CSL DD, the GT DD, and also some great rims like the Fanatec McLaren GT3 rim. Is probably a better rim than anything here when it comes for performance. It's certainly a better rim than the hypercar when it comes to performance. So maybe we'll do Thrustmaster versus Fanatec in a later video. Let me know if you want to see that. But otherwise, I really hope this helped. If you do decide to buy any sim racing equipment, including the Thrustmaster, please use my affiliate code Kireth or go to simracingdiscounts.com, and I will see you next time.